Welcome to another Backyard Professor Responds video. I have found one of the most intriguing videos that I want to share some clips with you directly involving this 3-eye Atlas comet that we have coming at us, hurtling at breakneck speed. There apparently is now another comet, and it's getting here at the same time as 3-eye Atlas. Whoa. This video is intriguing. I've been doing some very serious research into the background of his claims, etc. Let's take a look. I love doing stuff like this. I love researching stuff out like this because there are some valid, realistic mathematical and scientific claims in this video, and there is also some fatal problems with his claims, and I want to check into all that. Let's take a look.
A new interstellar object 100 times bigger and brighter than 3-eye Atlas has been discovered, and surprisingly, it is also headed toward the sun. Astronomers first spotted it on September 12, 2025, using the solar wind anisotropies, or SWAN instrument aboard the SOHO spacecraft. 2 days later, Australian comet expert Michael Mattiazzo captured a jaw-dropping image. Its tail is 2.5 degrees long, about 5 full moons wide, completely dwarfing the tiny tail of 3-eye Atlas. The International Astronomical Union has officially named it C-2025 R2 Swan after its initial designation, Swan 25b. The announcement landed like a thunderclap because 3-eye Atlas, now the arrival of Swan R2, even larger and stranger, has astronomers asking hard questions. So what exactly is going on in our solar system all at once?
Now, just to add to the drama, we just had a full blood moon as well, right? And we've had several interstellar visitors in our neighborhood. And it's true that Oumuamua was thought to be an alien ship, and it wasn't. This 3-eye Atlas is not so convincing to be a comet because of so many of the anomalies. So there are actual serious and quality and qualified scientists who are saying this is an alien ship this time. And now we have something that's bigger and grander than all of them combined. And it's just been discovered. And it's going to be here at the same time. Wow. I mean, what a great time to be alive. Let's keep watching.
Is this a second probe, a relay, or something else entirely? At first, Avi Loeb and his team speculated it might have come from 3-eye Atlas itself, perhaps a fragment torn from a larger icy body, or even a scout craft released by a technological mothership lurking far out in space. But senior collaborator Peter Veras confirmed the truth is worse. They come from entirely different directions. Swan streaks in from Aquarius, 3-eye Atlas emerge from Sagittarius near the Milky Way's core.
Now, to be honest, I don't understand why he says the news is worse, because one is coming from one side of the galaxy and another one is coming from the other side. I'm not quite sure why that is worse until the end of the video, and it's only 13 minutes. He just posted this today. This is brand spanking new information. I'm bringing you the latest in both science and speculation. Speculation. There it is. I invented a new word again. Woohoo! Backyard professor inventing new English words. I can't wait to see that one and its definition in the dictionary, right? So combining science and speculation, he really builds this up in a most dramatic way. And I'll give you the answer right now. Unfortunately, his drama is all created in his own mind. It's not real. But his graphics are spectacular, and his storyline of how he mixes the science with the speculation with the truly bizarre claims that have no validity is fascinating in and of itself.
Yet somehow they are converging on the sun at almost the same time. Yet the timing is impossible to ignore. Both will swing close to the sun in October 2025, almost side by side on a cosmic scale. At perihelion, Swan will be about 150 million kilometers from the sun, while 3i Atlas passes at 203 million kilometers, a gap of only 50 million kilometers, and shrinking as their velocities change. Even more ominous, they will both vanish behind the sun at once, hidden from every telescope on Earth. Two interstellar visitors, overlapping orbits, one solar encounter, and no way to see what happens next.
So the sensationalistic, even more ominous. You see, he's putting drama into this. There is truly nothing ominous whatsoever with two comets coming in at the same time and disappearing behind our sun. Why ominous? You know, it's like everyone's proclaiming that the scientists are terrified or they're horrified or that these sky things are a warning and we are in danger, etc. This type of melodrama, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get us to be scared, to fear. Don't fall into that noise, because when they make you scared, when they make you fear, they then enslave you by taking all the power in order to protect you. And there's the catch. We don't need protecting. They're just comets doing their thing. That's the warning that this type of stuff should be giving us. So I will say that loud and clear, more than once if I have to.
If you compare 3i Atlas with Swan R2, it feels like a warship next to a drone. Spectroscopic scans of 3i Atlas already stun scientists. A solid nickel body with no iron at all, a metal blend found only in advanced industry, not nature. Inside, instruments measured a 10 gigawatt nuclear core, and its tail behaved like engine thrust, not melting ice, emitting tightly collimated carbon dioxide at a steady speed.
Okay, I'm not the only one, but I'm going to have to say this. That is pure speculatory bunk. It is not an engine, and it does not behave like an engine emitting exhaust moving forward. That's all fantasy. So let's keep going.
A pattern no natural comet produces. As 3i Atlas neared the sun, its exhaust snapped from red to green at the exact moment its path changed.
And I hasten to add that has been explained as the UV light, as more and more of the outer surface of a comet gets spewed away, the chemicals interact. It's the double carbon, I believe they said, or I can't remember the exact chemistry of it, but this changing of the color from red or from blue to green, etc., it is all perfectly natural chemistry. It happened with other comets before this one. It's happening with this one. So I get it. The sensationalistic clickbait nature of, oh my gosh, this is a spaceship that's getting rid of their interior carbon dioxide that's so unnatural, and now it's turning green, etc., because they're changing their direction, or they're slowing down, or they're speeding up, or whatever. All of that is pure fantasy, sincerely. Now, that being said, it would be rocking cool if this was a spaceship, but it's not. It's a comet. And I mean the R2 Swan, as well as the 3I Atlas. Let's keep going, and I'll explain more of my reasoning and some of the science behind refuting some of his speculation tonight in this video.
which Avi Loeb calls thrust mix modulation.
I really should have let that clip play longer. The changing of the color Avi Loeb calls thrust mix modulation, which gives you a mental image of a spaceship. That is not what's happening. It is simply the chemicals in the comet, and it's an anomalous comet. That is what thrills the scientists, because we're learning new stuff about comets. This one is definitely different. Thank you, Lord, for doing this. That's wonderful. But he's putting in this theme of a not a natural, but a created, a man, I'm going to say man-made, an alien-made craft that mixes its chemicals so that it can change its thrust, etc. All of that is just fantasy. That's just tissue in the wind. It's not valid. Nobody else but Avi Loeb is saying this in the scientific community. Literally nobody. Now, it's not evil to speculate, but with speculation comes the serious responsibility of providing the extraordinary evidence to back up the extraordinary speculation. And that's what Avi Loeb does not have, unfortunately. Now, perhaps when it comes around and it gets closer, we'll get that evidence. But until then, it is imperative to recognize that Avi Loeb is not outside of his scientific boundary to say it could possibly be alien. That is not the argument. The scientists are not saying, no, you can't even talk about that. None of them have said that. They've said, if you're going to claim that, you're the one responsible for showing the actual alien evidence. And up to right now, that hasn't been done. So that's why this is science fiction fantasy at this point. That can change on only one condition, that as it comes around, it gets away from the sun so that we can see it again and comes back out, we can gather enough data to actually see and gather the alien-induced evidence, and then Avi Loeb has his point made. Until then, not a chance. That's how it works. It's nothing against Avi Loeb personally. His speculation is more than welcome, with the understanding, and he knows this, he is an astute scientist. He knows he has to ante up. He has to bring the receipts of actual evidence of an alien ship, not his speculation, and not a fuzzy picture from a telescope. We've got to have the actual evidence. And when that shows up, then Avi Loeb is correct. Until then, all of the fear-mongering and the worry and the losing of sleep at night is utterly ludicrous to go through. There's no point. It's just a comet.
Craft adjusting its burn as heating increased, with the color shift as visible proof. 3i Atlas was terrifying enough, but the real...
Again, 3i Atlas is not terrifying. This mindset is stupid. If I can be so bold and blunt and say I don't buy it. No one is terrified. It is not terrifying. We have had comets throughout the course of our human history. The ancients were terrified because they didn't understand them. With our instrumentation that we have developed since Isaac Newton, we now grasp better significance of how magnificent it is when a comet shows up. It is teaching us about our cosmic home. It is glorious. It is not terrifying. Come on, we've got to get rid of this stupid narrative of fear and terror. I am not buying it, not for a moment, because that's how those in power get absolute power. They scare the shit out of you so bad, you give them total power and you say, yes, protect us. And then you're their slave. I'm not going that route. Neither should you. Okay? I'm not trying to preach tonight. I'm just saying this whole stupid narrative of terror and fear has just got to stop. We have to stand up and say, you know what? You produce better shit, or we're going to stop watching you. Quit trying. Change your adjectives. There's no terror here. There's no fear here. You're being idiots. Sometimes you got to be blunt, right? Okay, so here we go. Let's keep going. This is a wonderful presentation, other than his fear-mongering, which I am very, very much opposed to.
Shot came with R2 Swan.
Okay, I'm going to back this up just a little bit, because now he's going to up the fear, which is silly.
Oof. 3i Atlas was terrifying enough, but the real shock came with R2 Swan. Loeb's team detected a silver plasma shield wrapped around a nickel cobalt armored hull that completely dwarfs 3i Atlas. This isn't passive shielding. It's a living electromagnetic barrier with energy levels off the charts.
That all last few statements is pure baloney. That's not science. That's him being dramatic and giving us pure baloney. There's no such thing. He's making shit up. Unfortunately, because he has a great presentation other than the fear-mongering and inventing this kind of ridiculously stupid invented narrative that has no basis in science whatsoever. Let's keep going.
Able to bend the solar wind and deflect radiation far beyond anything a solid shell could do. Its tail spans 2 full degrees of sky, about 5 full moons wide, roughly 100 times bigger than the thin plume trailing 3i Atlas. As it needed perihelium, Swan's glow flared brighter and shifted to a white-green, exactly as Loeb's sensor picked up tiny thrust pulses, confirming a tiny precision plasma drive steering system.
Utter pap and pablum. They have not detected a drive system at all. This is just natural chemistry going on. And this is the speculation that Avi Loeb is going to have to convince this comet to come and land on Earth and show us its engine before he's going to be believed. Because his claim is that extraordinary, we're going to have to see the engine. In other words, Avi Loeb, I fear, has cooked his goose with this. Sincerely. And if he continues on, even after this comet flies by with no evidence, then he's just pure phony. He destroys his career. And I really don't want to see that happen to him. But someone has to let him know you can only apply this alien spacecraft narrative so far before it really does ruin you because you have no evidence. You're just farting in the wind. Yeah. All of that guy just said is pure, unadulterated malarkey. I'll even rewind it and let you hear it again because it's such powerful sounding malarkey. And it doesn't matter that he's quoting Avi Loeb or if he was quoting Albert Einstein or whatever scientist you want to pick. That does not make this true. Just so you understand. All right, let me pull that back just a couple of seconds.
Bloom trailing 3i Atlas. As it needed perihelium, Swan's glow flared brighter and shifted to a white-green, exactly as Loeb's sensor picked up tiny thrust pulses, confirming a tiny precision plasma drive steering system. Its exhaust is a dense nickel and cobalt iron plasma mixed with carbon dioxide and
Notice how his graphics showed an engine, a combustion engine, and how it's supposed to work. That is all just suggestive malarkey. That graphic is positively a lie. He's manipulating you in the process, trying to get you scared. I'm not buying it. You're going to have to do better. It's really important that we learn this distinction. That's why I'm making so much hay about it.
and carbon monoxide, a signature Ave Loeb calls impossible without a directed plasma engine.
Pure poppycock. Every NASA scientist, every astronomer, okay, NASA, never a straight answer. I get it. You don't trust NASA. Show me any other scientist that agrees with that statement. That is Avi Loeb's pure unadulterated speculation because he's got UFO on the brain with an ordinary comet. Not everything that behaves anomalously up in the sky is a UFO, regardless of the caliber of astronomer or scientist who says otherwise. It's not about the authority of the person that makes something true. It's about the evidence. And we literally have none of any of the recent comets within my lifetime that any of them are UFOs at all. There's literally nothing. Literally. Just so you know. I'm keeping this clear. It's critically important.
Then came the most terrifying finding, the core. 3i Atlas has already shocked the world with its 10 gigawatt nuclear reactor, about 50 times the output of Chernobyl. But Swan's plasma core outputs more than 10,000 gigawatts every second, a power level Ave Loeb compares to two black holes colliding.
Pure, unadulterated poppycock. Now, this is what is so fascinating to me because comets don't have nuclear cores. There is no nuclear core power of gigawattage coming out of the core of 3i Atlas or R2 Swan, 100 times more, with the energy of two black holes colliding. No.
Scaled and contained inside a single machine. In Loeb's words, 3i Atlas was only the scout. Swan R2 is the fortress, a nickel cobalt plasma vessel with a power core beyond comprehension.
All of that is science fiction. All of it. He's making shit up.
Just when scientists thought they'd seen it all, NASA and JPL analyzed the orbit and uncovered a staggering truth. Swan R2 returns every 22,554 years to visit our sun. This isn't a quick, one-time flyby. It's a returning visitor on a cycle so long it stretches far beyond the entire history of human civilization.
Finally, a little bit of validity. And notice who he had to quote to give us some valid information: NASA and JPL. I'm just saying.
Its closest approach to the sun will occur in October, the very same month 3i Atlas reaches its own perihelion. Two objects with anomalous properties passing near the sun within days of each other, one on a hyperbolic flyby, one on a bound 22,000-year loop. For Avi Loeb, the question shifted from, is this the same object, to, is this a system? According to Mr. Loeb and his team, Swan R2 is not a normal comet, but an automated machine sent by an advanced civilization far older than ours.
And this is the speculation that absolutely everybody is welcome to have. We don't criticize Avi Loeb for making this speculation. In fact, this is how science advances. We move beyond the walls of normal academia and we take risks. We propose hypotheses that just don't match what we have in order to understand broader and wider, but they're only validated with evidence. Only and ever validated with evidence. So the speculation is not what can hurt Avi Loeb. Not at all. Everybody speculate. You have to in science for the simple reason that the vast majority of knowledge out there we don't know. And the vast majority of what we know is going to change and be wrong within possibly tomorrow, but within 100 years. So there is always this changing flux, as it were. The problem is going to be if Avi Loeb, after this cometary show is over and we're all still here and nothing really disastrous happened and everybody breathes a sigh of relief because you got suckered into being terrorized domestically through YouTube fear-mongering that is totally unnecessary, I'm not going to have to worry about that issue because I'm not scared at all. I don't buy that stupid stuff. But after it's all said and done, if Avi Loeb sticks to that explanation without any evidence in the data, that's when we turn him off on all things UFOs. So I hope he understands the implications of where he's heading. I really think it would rock if some spectacular evidence comes out of this for his hypothesis. That would be cool. But if it doesn't, then drop it, admit you were speculating and you were wrong, and move on is the only redemption open for the scientist. And that's how science works. You propose a hypothesis. Well, here's the evidence. Oh, okay, let's test the evidence. Well, you predict something, you have a hypothesis, but there's no evidence, then you can dismiss the hypothesis instantly with no qualms. That's how it's supposed to work. I hope one of those two scenarios Avi Loeb takes, because he's a good man, but he's treading a very thin thread. Now we get into the speculatory ridiculousness. And I do want to share this with you. It's important to recognize what is true science and what is not.
For them, a 22,000-year orbit would feel like a routine patrol. At near light speeds, time slows down for the traveler, so what looks to us like thousands of years could be only months to them. In this view, Swan R2's return isn't a fluke, it's an appointment. But why return on such a vast interval? In Loeb's scenario, each passage could be part of a scheduled maintenance cycle, collecting superhot plasma from the sun as fuel, adjusting huge sensor networks hidden around the planets, or downloading data from secret stations buried in the asteroid belt, under polar ice, or even inside planetary crusts. It might also check on parked spacecraft, refresh navigation beacons, or update star maps. The sun may act as a power source or a navigation beacon, and the 22,000-year loop gives enough time for new information to accumulate before the next pass. It could be a scheduled maintenance run, a resupply trip, or a giant data upload to a network of distant stars. In other words, what seems to us as an age-long mystery could be for them a regular service call, refuel, update, retrieve, and leave again on a timetable older than human civilization itself.
That is fantastic science fiction. It really is. What a grand vision. I mean, here we go. We all can't stand the grifters, but Avi Loeb write a book of science fiction with that theme, and it'll be a bestseller. But please don't stick to your guns that this is actual science. Once these comets disappear and go on their way, you have to drop your narrative. You have to admit you were wrong and let it go. If there's no evidence, you crucify yourself claiming it's real anyway. Please, 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 Avi, don't do that. But what a great yarn. Come on, man. That's the stuff of science fiction, right? Now, what I want to do, and he goes on to blather, you can watch it. I'll leave the link in the description here. What I want to share with you is, I asked, again, now I use ChatGPT as a research assistant, not the final word. You don't understand. There's so many people in the comments to my previous videos recently where they say I'm so wrong to use ChatGPT. No, I am not. I am not relying on ChatGPT as the final answer. It is a phenomenal research assistant. It can find more sources, articles, books, online sources than I even know exist dealing with this subject. There's its value. I'm going to share my prompt and I'm going to show you some of the answers that it gave me and why it gave them to me. You must understand, AI is not the enemy. AI is the tool, but it is only a tool. No, AI is not going to take us humans over and enslave us. Again, this unnecessary fear-mongering, this ridiculous science fiction claptrap thinking, imagining it's real, you don't need to do all that noise. I promise you, it's unnecessary. Let me show you. I'm going to stop that and I'm going to share this page. I'm going to show you my ChatGPT conversation because this is really interesting to me on how this works, and it's very valuable. I said I searched YouTube today because a channel called Uncovered X. In the titled video, 100 times bigger mystery object enters the solar system. It's aiming straight for 3i Atlas. That's false too. It's not aiming straight for 3i Atlas at all. But this guy makes some claims. Here's what I need from you. He says the Soho spacecraft spotted the comet. The astronomer Michael Matiazzo saw the tail, etc., etc. I misunderstood that there are 2 Swan comets. There were 2, and they've been confused at times, and I'm the one that confused those. So I asked, how good is Avi Loeb's astronomy and science and math involved with the R2 Swan? That's what I wanted to know. And I also asked him about, he says, comparing a battleship to a drone, the battleship Enormity belonging to R2 Swan. 3i Atlas has a nuclear output core of 10 gigawatts, while R2 Swan has a staggering 10,000 plus gigawatts output from the nuclear core. What does that mean? Where could they have gotten these calculations? And are they accurate? Real? That's the part I want to talk about. All the rest of this stuff I've already basically commented on. Claims about nuclear cores producing 10 gigawatt or 10,000 gigawatt silver plasma shields or a living electromagnetic barrier are not supported by any science, by any peer-reviewed astronomy. There is no credible orbital or spectral data that say comets have nuclear reactors or shields. This language is sensationalist. The verdict is they're making this stuff up. It is speculative rhetoric. The next part of the excellent analysis from chat is on the 10 gigawatt and the 10,000 gigawatt nuclear core idea, and the silver plasma shield, and the nickel cobalt core, and the living electromagnetic barrier claims. Here's the problem with all of that, what I call science fiction. There's no credible observatory, NASA, JPL, or the European Space Agency, or published spectroscopy paper reports. Comets have nuclear reactors or metal cores generating gigawatt electrical output. Those phrases come from sensationalistic or speculative YouTube narration, not from observational astrophysics. And that's why it's science fiction. Comet science uses spectroscopy to measure gas species, CN, C2, CO, cyanide, etc., and thermal models. And these assess outgassing. There is no physical basis. And here's the problem that Avi Loeb is going to face. There is no physical basis in current comet science for nuclear cores powering gigawatt output. So they're making this stuff up. It's speculative rhetoric. Now, comets can release energy through sublimation. And that's important because that is solar heating, and this causes ice to vaporize, producing a gas dust outflow. And astronomers can estimate the mass loss rates and infer energy budgets, but that is not the same thing as an internal nuclear reactor. If someone gives GW numbers, here's what to ask them. Ask them how they derived them. What observational inputs? What physical model? I found no derivation from those GW models numbers for either R2 or 3i Atlas. Likewise, the term silver plasma shield or living electromagnetic barrier. These are metaphorical or speculative sci-fi language. This is not a standard scientific description. Comet tails do interact with the solar wind, and they can show a plasma tail structure, an ion tail or a dust tail, that effects of solar wind, but that's a plasma solar wind interaction. It is not an engineered shield. And there's the downfall of that claim. So the YouTube narrator is applying dramatic metaphors. He's not reporting validated physics. And that's the difference. And that's what I wanted to share with you. Based on ChatGPT's analysis. Now, Chat went to all kinds of sources. In fact, let me hold on. You think I'm kidding, don't you? I'm going to show you this. I will take the time to do this for you, with you, because this is critically important. Which YouTube channels are reliable here and which are sensationalizing? The reliable, trustworthy sources on cometary science is the NASA Science and JPL pages, and it gives you, there it is, Comet 3I Atlas. There's the information. Now, this is cool. I wouldn't have, the time it took this thing to find all of these sources was just seconds. It would have taken me days. The European Space Agency pages and the Skylive ephemerides, and these are important. These are good for distances and predicted close approaches. There is the source, the Skylive. Again, ChatGPT does exceptionally excellent work to get you to the sources so that you can analyze it. That's its value right there. It's not lying to you. It's not deceiving you. It's telling you where to look. The APOD, the astronomy picture of the day, it is a daily vetted astronomy images and notes useful for photos and captions. And it gives you an astronomy picture. There's the astronomy picture of the day. News Comet Swan 25B over Mexico. There it is. Things like that. That is what it does. Peer review archive entries on 3I Atlas, etc. These are best for technical details. It'll give you the link, and you can do your own reading and research and submit for further information requests to get further information. This is invaluable. The YouTube site Uncovered X is stylistically sensational. They mix real facts, tail angles, dates, with dramatic metaphors and speculative numbers, GW cores, shields that aren't referenced to primary data. They have no evidence, in other words. There's none here. So treat their extraordinary claims skeptically. Now, channels repackaging press or taking Loeb's speculative comments and running with them are okay for dramatized summaries, but not primary verification. You get that from the sources, and Chat gives you the sources all over the place. That's what I love about this. The more accurate community, I did ask it about Vet Father, if he's using the astronomy software and the correct ephemerides, and I think he was, so he's a good source. Keep that in mind, the Vet Father. And then the APOD, NASA Space News, Universe Today, EarthSkySpace.com. These are accurate reporting outlets that interpret JPL MPC data. Use them for reliable summaries. It gives you a source. That's what we're looking for. Then you can do your own research. You can get the valid astronomical information. You can get the ephemerides. You can get all of the data you want with photographs, etc. This is invaluable primary research. ChatGPT gives you that ability. And that's what I wanted to show you. That's vital. It is important to be able to discriminate the truth from the false. We do that through analysis. We study. We do not believe everything you hear, see, or read. You test the information. You check the claims. This is what I've done in this video. I went to the NASA Space News site, and they have none of this speculatory material of either Avi Loeb or this YouTube video. It's all just them putting science fiction out there, trying to be fear-mongering. Now, Avi Loeb isn't being a fear-monger. This website keeps using the wrong words, terrified or, yeah, no, there's nothing terrifying about this. It is a perfectly natural situation, and there is literally no chance of it hitting Earth. It's not going to hit Mars. It's not going to hit any of the planets in our solar system. On its way back out, 3I Atlas is going to come very, very close to Jupiter, but it's not going to hit Jupiter. Nothing is going to become a disaster. The end of the world is not occurring. Now, have these wonderful interstellar visitors changed our lives? Absolutely. It is so exciting to learn more about comets. And these are weird comets. They are anomalous. They are different. Thank goodness. We don't want more of the same. We've only ever had comets from within our own solar system. These deep interstellar objects coming from outside our solar system are spectacular, man. This is job security for the astronomers and the scientists. It's not going to scare their pants off them and have them pee their pants. They're thrilled to death that there's something new to study and there's some new information, or there's a different chemical composition that here on our Earth we only can do with the nickel iron thing. So to see that anomaly in the sky, wow, that is very interesting. It's not terrifying. It's not, oh my God, we're going to die. This doesn't refute science. That's the message I want to get across. This is cool just as it is. It is cooler than cool just as it is. To add sensational claptrap on top of the actual already really cool anomalous discoveries that we're making through our science is just redundant silliness. And none of it's valid anyway. So why worry about that? Study it for what it is, and let's become better informed human beings. That's where I stand. So thanks for watching the Backyard Professor Responds videos. I'm enjoying these topics. I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I know you guys are too. Hit the like, share, and subscribe. And I will catch up to you just as soon as I can when I find new and more interesting information on all kinds of stuff. I will see you soon. You have a great evening.